showing support for these students after all they've been through this past year, which no one should ever have to go through, of course, but they're waiting here patiently on the square as they make their way up. Lee and Leon.
Chris, what we can see here with the cameras that we have on this procession is that this very large group of students, all in red and black, they're being led by emergency vehicles, of course, down streets that have been blocked off, and the streets themselves are lined with people from the community who are there to show their support for this very special group. And you know, I think that's something that we have heard over and over again is how this devastating day 1 year ago really had an impact on the community ultimately that has been a positive one in really pulling people together, and that they want this day as a day to reflect on what happened, but also to really open a new chapter and move forward.
And as you can see right now, Lee, you see, although the students are walking quietly, many of them have linked arms, forming one body, one link, showing that they are standing together on this and walking together on this and trying to live their lives together in peace and harmony, as you see, certainly those at the beginning of the procession there. These are students walking from Chardon High School 1 year later on their way to the gazebo, which is in the center of the community of Chardon. It has become a gathering point. In many ways, it has been like a pilgrimage for many people to go to that gazebo and leave articles of remembrance about the students who were slain a year ago.
1 year, one heartbeat, we will never forget. And I'm not sure. I'm hearing some music. I don't know if it's a student singing or if that is music coming from where you are, Chris, on the square.
Lee, that is music being piped in from the on the town square here at the gazebo, being piped in from last night's concert that was held over at St. Mary Catholic Church. We can see the first responders now, the first emergency vehicles have made the turn. You see people walking that have been lining the street are now walking with the students. We see the students now walking arm in arm up here past the courthouse, and they'll be approaching the gazebo any moment. We probably have a couple hundred people from the community out here awaiting these students. And you mentioned the community coming together. You know, it's not just Chardon, but it's the surrounding communities of Northeast Ohio that have come out and shown their support over the past year for these students. For instance, last year when the students marched back to school, and here we go, we see the first students making the turn around the courthouse, arm in arm, three across, as they make their way in here to the town square and the gazebo. Hundreds of people awaiting them, most dressed in black and red, as the students are, in their school colors, of course. But the community coming together when they made the march back to school that Friday when school reopened. They had students from all over Northeast Ohio, other high schools, lining the streets, lining the schools, welcoming them back. What an emotional scene here as we see the students very quietly, somberly walking in to the gazebo here on the town square in Chardon.
Chris, you mentioned it a few seconds ago, really, that there have been an outpouring of support from throughout the area here. Certainly students at other high schools in Northeast Ohio have made their feelings known and sent love and wishes over to the students at Chardon High School over the last year or so.
They certainly have, and Leon, as the students make their way in here to the gazebo, you can see over here they're getting applause from the townspeople, from the community here as they make their way onto the gazebo. They're making room for them as they walk in. A standing ovation for these students from Chardon High School as they make their way in here. And the community really coming together. For instance, the Chardon Community Healing Fund has already raised more than $950,000 to the victims and the victims' families. So the community coming together. Financially, they're showing their support. Emotionally, they're showing their support as these kids make their way here to the gazebo. It's about a 20-minute walk or so. It's a mile or so, give or take a little bit, from the high school. They'll be here for about 25 minutes. The superintendent and the senior class officers expected to address the students and, of course, the crowd here as well. And then they'll make their way back. They're running a little behind schedule, but about after 20 minutes or so, they'll make their way back. 25 minutes, they'll make their way back to Chardon High School to finish out their day, a day that has been a day of community service for these students.
It really is a very a moving sight to see this group arm in arm making their way to Chardon Square. And I think really what has struck me today in our stories is how much focus and energy these students have put into reaching out to others, something that they are calling actively caring for other people in need, which has been such a key to their own healing. And so as one of them put it so eloquently earlier, it is a day they are remembering their friends, their fellow students who died that day, but they are also looking ahead and celebrating the fact that they have come a long, long way.
And just last night at St. Mary Catholic Church, Chris, you were talking about at St. Mary Catholic Church, there was a program of music featuring school musicians and other musicians as well, I would imagine. But there were no sermons and there were no speeches. It was all about music.
That's right, it certainly was, and we're hearing some of that music piped in here to the gazebo. I'm here with News Channel 5's Tracy Carlos, who's been out here all morning as well.
And Chris, you know what I think is really poignant is the fact that these kids are walking and you don't hear a sound. Mm-hmm. You heard the music a little earlier, you heard the people clapping, but these kids just very somber right now and kind of chokes you up when you look at exactly what's happening here.
It does. Many of them arm in arm or hand in hand. It's very emotional. Being here in person, seeing this, I think a lot of us are choked up. Mm-hmm. It's really an emotional scene here as these what these kids have been through and what this day signifies here in Chardon. But the ceremony now getting underway here, Tracy, as the superintendent is starting to address the students. But we'll be out here all day in Chardon, and of course we'll see you back here tonight for News Channel 5 Live on 5. Leon, back to the studio.
Chris and Tracy, thanks so much, and we'll continue streaming this reflection ceremony on newsnet5.com. And we'll see you back here later today on Live on 5.
That's going to do it for us. Thank you for being with us. Be well.